So hello everyone. I'm very excited, really excited to talk to you today. I'm really excited to see so many young people here. And it's really a privilege for me to stay here on this stage, and because of two reasons. The one reason is that I see so many young people, and the second reason is because it's the first conference I'm attending in live since 1.5 years. And most of the conferences I attended during the last 1.5 years, during the COVID period, were the virtual conferences where I was talking to the muted avatars on the screen. It was not a very pleasant experience, so I want to encourage you and motivate you to participate, to unmute yourself, participate, ask questions, and laugh and be active. I also want to say hello to our internet audience and start the talk. The topic of the talk is the AI, robotics, challenges, chances, and side effects. So let me start with the introduction of myself first. I was kindly introduced here, but I want to give you a little bit more context about myself. So currently I'm working at the Siemens headquarters in Munich. I'm a software architect in Siemens Corporate Technologies. So it's company-wide innovation unit. So I'm doing applied research. So applied research means that I'm consulting in applied research. So we are helping real projects out there to introduce new technologies and new stuff there. So we are researching on one side together with universities and doing stuff which will become a product like in 5 or 10 years and helping our companies to adapt that. So currently, I'm doing a lot of things in the area of the software and hardware in the automation and energy automation, factory automation, industrial automation, and energy automation. So to give you an idea what is a factory automation, it's like robots, but not the kind of robots you are used to see in YouTube. It's not the Boston Dynamics type robots. It's like very boring robots, which basically produce all the stuff we consume today. And there are highly automated factories built out there where very few people are producing huge amount of stuff. So these are the factory automation, and the energy automation is an area which is totally invisible for us. We get the electricity delivered to our homes without thinking where is it produced. So there is a huge electrical grid, for instance, in Europe, and there are a lot of different kinds of energy producers. These are the classical nuclear power plants. There are new renewable plants. There are wind power, photovoltaics and things like that, and there is a very complicated hardware and software behind it to basically produce all this energy and deliver to us. And this is the area where I'm basically working together with our companies. Good. So I need to apologize because the next hour or so I have to torture you with my English accent, which is neither Georgian nor English. So I worked a lot with our Siemens guys in USA and Tennessee. They picked up this stuff. Then I worked with Indian guys, so I picked up some. And for 2 years or so, I worked for a Chinese company and visited China a lot. So my accent is terrible, I know that, and I'm talking simplified English. So please be patient. And second thing is that usually I use a lot of visualization and slides because I'm transporting a lot of content through the slides, but this time I decided not to. So we should rely on my poor English and your imagination and maybe some gestures. That's it. So these two things I want to apologize about. Good. So why do we care about AI and robots? Maybe these are things which happen and we can continue living as we live, but I think that's not the case. I think we need to adjust our societies, and we as individuals need to adjust to a huge change which are coming. And I want to explain you the concept of the increasing pace of change. So what I mean with that is that I have a feeling that the world is getting more dynamic, things are going on faster and faster. And at the beginning, I thought it's my perception, because as I was young, my brain was younger, and as I get older, then my perception is slowing down. That's why my perception of things going on is faster. Yeah, that was my explanation. But someday I sat together with my kids, and we decided to watch classical movies, the old-time movies, and it seemed to me like in a time lapse. It was everything very slow going on. Yeah, because we are used to an increased pace of change. Our lives became faster in last time. So in last epochs, last years. So and the speed of change is increasing constantly. So to demonstrate that, I want you to look back into the human history. And first, I want to ask you to answer my questions. Please raise your hands. If you and leave your hands up if you already decided what is your profession. So if you have a profession, or if you already decided what would be your profession. I know you are young people, okay? Yeah, most of you have decided already, but I see people who are not really. Please leave your hands up. Please leave your hands up. Now, please lower your hands if your profession is not the same as your parents. So let's say if your parent was a teacher and you want to become a teacher, please leave your hands up. Otherwise, lower your hands. So I see 1, 2, almost one. What is the profession of your parents? Your profession, the profession of your parents.
My profession is totally different from my parents.
If different, then you should lower. If the same, you need to leave your hands up. None of you. Whoa, you're very young, because I asked this question in many different audiences, and it was like 2 or 3, and I expected that 2 or 3 will leave your hands up, because some are doctors, some are, I don't know. Yeah, this is also a traditional profession. So all of you, you've decided to change the preference, right? If you go back like 200, 300 years, there was a situation where the generations had this same profession. And if you look at our surnames, most of the surnames have the name of the profession of the whole family encoded in there. Like we have the surnames almost in every European country, like Smith, yeah? Which means that the whole family was Smith generation after generation. And if you look even back in our past, like 15,000 years long, all of us, all of humanity, were hunters and gatherers. Nothing else. So there was not a thing like a profession, yeah? So it means that so 15,000 years we were hunters, then we started to change profession like every 2 generations, or every 3, or every 5 generations. And now my hypothesis is that we will change our professions during our lifespan many times, yeah? And I will explain you later why. So each of you must be prepared to learn new things, to learn new profession, and change yourself professionally continuously. So that's what I hope, and that's what I think, yeah? Now let's go back to this. That's the impact on the individual, and I would also talk about impact on the society, and to do so we first need to understand what is artificial intelligence. Yeah? This is a term, widely used umbrella term for many things. Yeah? And even it's not clear what is an intelligence. Yeah? Think like intelligence. We humans are, of course, intelligent. We define ourselves as intelligent beings. But what is intelligence generally? So if we look at the universe, the intelligence is a very rare phenomenon in the universe. And most of the things around us in our galaxy are just rocks, stones, and the most of the galaxy is a sun, which is a hot radioactive plasma. So there is no intelligence in there. And on our planet, if you look back at the history of our planet, like 600 million years of our history, the Earth was dominated by mollusks, which are not very intelligent. You agree? And next 200 million years were dominated by dinosaurs, which have brains like chicken. Yeah? And only like last 10 to 15,000 years emerged humans on the Earth, and they are apparently most intelligent beings on the Earth. And they invented steam engine, computers, and AI. And I think these three things changed our life dramatically. Steam engine, computers, and AI. And it was like 200 years ago, there was a steam engine. Industrial revolution was caused by the steam engine. Our society changed dramatically. Then computers were invented. I will tell you why it changed our society dramatically until now. And then AI emerged, and I guess that a lot of people think that AI also will change our society dramatically. Yeah? There are two views about this change. Yeah? One is the futuristic view, and another is a little bit pragmatic, short-term view. Yeah, let's talk first about this long-term futuristic view, and there are a lot of debate about that. I don't have my personal opinion, but what I did is basically I gathered most popular opinions and categorized them into the three categories. Yeah, three categories. What is going to happen with the human society in, let's say, long-term period, not 10, 15, 30 years, a lot more. Yeah? There will be a changing point in the course of the society when the artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence. And we call it super intelligence. And let's assume this day will come one day. There are three basic scenarios. Yeah? And one scenario is so-called evil intelligence. Yeah? Evil intelligence, like imagine an artificial intelligence Hitler, which will hijack the human society. It will hijack our internet and basically decide to eliminate human race by launching nuclear weapons or even inventing and launching a virus. As we see, we are not very resistant to viruses, so basically this is a scenario of an evil intelligence which will decide to eliminate us as humans. And this is a realistic scenario, which I don't want to occur, but there is a chance of it. The second scenario is a scenario of, I call it a pet scenario. A pet scenario means that the AI will surpass human intelligence, and at some point they will decide not to eliminate us, but to keep us as pets. Yeah? And this is very disturbing for me, but to be honest, if it is going to happen, we will not even realize that. Yeah? Why? Because currently there are artificial intelligence algorithms working behind, for instance, YouTube or Amazon, which are basically adapting themselves to our preferences. So they learn our preferences and they are displaying us stuff which we might like. But research shows that it's not exactly that way. We influence each other mutually. So it means that if we let the AI learn our preferences, also AI behind YouTube can teach us their preferences. So they can show us videos and drive us in a certain direction so that we don't know whether it's our own preference or whether the AI decided to make it our preference. So this is basically already happening. And to be honest, even if we take a look at cats, yeah, there are a lot of psychology, of animal psychologists, which are saying that the cats think that they are dominating us humans, yeah? Because we are caring about cats, we are giving them food, we're basically they are doing whatever they want. So are they primary beings? Let's say, are they the boss or are we the boss? This is so maybe we will become like a cat, and AI will take care of us somehow, but also limit our freedom in some way, or direct us or steer us. So we don't know. No. And the third thing, it's a good case of being a pet, but there is a bad case of being pet. So they will capture us into the capsule like in a matrix, and they will inject us happiness hormones, and then we will be all happy, but there will be no free will, and there will not be no humanity as it is. And the third one, like my favorite one, is a symbiosis. Symbiosis is when the humans merge with the machine. In a good way, where the machines become our extensions of our mind, and this is already happening due to our gadgets. So I have my mobile phone in my pocket, which is basically extension of my mind. There are telephone numbers in there, there are photos, there are my memories in there, which I would never remember that I was in Scheta in 1995, but there are photos of it there, and I can go back and remember that. So it's my memories, which otherwise would be inaccessible for me. There is information which otherwise would be inaccessible for me. Our computers are also our extensions, which do calculations which we will never be able to do ourselves. The problem is that the rate of interaction, how much information I can transfer to the computer and computer can transfer to me, is very limited. So it's basically limited by the power, by my two thumbs, sometimes 10 fingers, even less if you don't do full hand typing. So then the people are working on extending that. So what Elon Musk is saying, he's saying there is a danger of an evil intelligence, and in order to not to become a slave of a evil intelligence or not to become extinct, we as humans need to work towards merging with the machines. That's why he is working on the development of Neuralink, which will link human with a machine with much higher speed, and we may merge with the machines. Now, a philosophical question emerges whether we will remain humans after we merged with a machine, and what would happen with our humanness. Whether the machine is going to take away our humanness. Maybe, but I think that it will happen gradually. We will never, it's like a ship of Theseus. There is a very known paradoxon of ship of Theseus. Have you heard about that? It was known to the ancient Greeks. It's a problem of identity. So imagine that there was a ship of Theseus, and Theseus started his journey, a very long journey, which took many years. And during the journey, the ship was built out of the wood, and the planks of the wood get rotten. They degraded with the time and need to be replaced. And Theseus was replacing the old ones with the new timber. And at some point, he replaced all the wooden planks on his ship. Now the question is that after every small replacement, the ship remained itself, right? So it was a ship of Theseus. And at the end, when we replaced all the planks, it was the same ship of Theseus. But if we would gather all the planks all the replaced planks, we could build a new ship out of the old planks. And now there is a question whether the old ship will be the ship of Theseus or a new ship will be the ship of Theseus. And the answer to that is that our identity is not something static, it's shifting. It's shifting all the time, and it means that whenever we will extend our memory as humans, when we will extend ourselves with the computers, the computers will become part of our identity, and our identity will shift partially into the computer. So our brain cells will die out or multiply, so it means that whatever we know, we will know partially in our biological brain and partially in our digital brain. And at some point, the whole identity will move into the digital world, and we have to see this merger of a computer and human as a continuation of our civilization, because it will carry on the identity of our civilization. So it became very philosophical. So, Elon says that we need to embrace this way. Otherwise, if we do not research into that, and if we do not invest into that, and we just invest into the empowering the artificial intelligence will take over at some point, and we as humans will not be able to resist the machines. And otherwise, if we humans just join the machines, then we are a human machine, and then it's our civilization. Okay, this became very philosophical. Now I need to come to the pragmatic part, which is where I am very comfortable there, because I'm not a visionary, I'm a very applied guy. So I'm an engineer from my nature, I'm working with software, and to come to the pragmatic view, the question is when this super intelligence is going to become reality. Yeah? Some people, like Musk, say that it will happen very soon, like 15 years from now. Yeah, I'm not so optimistic. So, to be honest, Elon Musk was off with his predictions almost always with 2 times. So we can say that, okay, it will be the case in 30 years at earliest. And there are some skeptics which say it will never become reality, because things which are going in our brain are not totally the electrical nature. Yeah? There are some quantum mechanical effects in there, and we will need to develop quantum computers first in order to be able to simulate the brain and reach the power of the human brain. Yeah? So they say that with electrical computers you will never get there. Yeah, and so it means that it will take much more time than 30 years. Okay, let's say the 30 years is a minimum and never is the maximum. Let's start with this 30 years. What do we do in this 30 years from now? Yeah, do we sit and just wait when the super intelligence gets invented, or do we need to adapt already? Is the AI as it is today already changing our lives? And what is AI today? You very probably hear a lot of news about successes of artificial intelligence in different areas, like facial recognition, like, I don't know, for instance, AlphaZero is a computer which is doing a lot of, had a lot of success defeating human in any board game, like chess, like backgammon, Go. So humans are not able to win over AlphaZero anymore. And the very interesting thing about AlphaZero is that it's learning autonomously. So the AlphaZero is teaching itself playing the game by playing endless numbers, billions of games, sometimes losing, sometimes winning, and picking up the best of the experience, learning with the experience, and playing again with itself. So currently, AlphaZero is able to play any game which has rules. So starting from the board games like chess or backgammon, it can play any Atari game, very simple games with simple to describe rule set. And the point here is that these kind of intelligences, for instance, the voice recognition, facial recognition, AlphaZero, these are kinds of intelligences which we call special artificial intelligences. They have one special area where they supersede human. They can do it very well. But the problem with it is that if you start to teach this kind of artificial intelligence two things at the same time, like teach it chess and backgammon, then they fail. And this is a big challenge currently to create a general artificial intelligence. And there are companies like DeepMind which are working on the creation of the general artificial intelligence, and we are still far away from that. So we don't have a general intelligence, we have only these special artificial intelligences. But also this special artificial intelligence is going to change our lives pretty dramatically in upcoming years. And why? Okay, let me bring you a curve which is from Martin Neumeier, which is a so-called robotic curve. It describes our activities as humans, the activities in our society, work, jobs in our society in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. Yeah? And the lowest layer is so-called robotic work. It's highly repetitive work. Do you remember Charlie Chaplin's famous movie City Lights, where he's working in a factory? So this is a robotic work, but there are a lot of other robotic work. It was a lot of robotic work out there in 20th century, also in 19th century, even more, like ship loaders. So currently ships are loaded and unloaded with containers, but in the past there were workers which were unloading and loading ships. There were like thousands of men just picking the packages from ship and to the ship back. Yeah. One of the most famous automated jobs is so-called elevator driver. Yeah. Back in the 19th century, there was an elevator driver which was driving the elevator. Right now, we just press a button and travel. So that's it. There are no elevator drivers. What I'm saying is that most of the robotic work was eliminated from the world by Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution happened as we realized that we do not need to rely on the muscle power. Yeah? In the past 10,000s of years, we almost always relied on the muscle power, either a human muscle power or a horse muscle power or the bull muscle power. And at some point we invented a steam engine, and steam engine gave us a power to drive a motor or a transportation belt, and that started the end of the robotic work. So everything which was like repeatable robotic work, highly repetitive, was replaced completely. Yeah? As of today, there are very few robotic works still left in unindustrialized countries, but in industrialized countries, almost all the robotic work is gone. Okay, the next stage is routine work. The routine work is a bit of smart, not repetitive work, yeah, which requires some decision making. It's like driving a car, yeah, is a routine work. Package delivery is also routine work. It requires from you to make some decisions. A supermarket teller or cashier is another example of routine work. Even a farmer is partially a routine worker. Especially animal farming or chicken farming is right now pretty much automated, but it requires decision making. For instance, in farming there are eggs, and you need to take a look at the eggs and decide whether the egg is broken or not, and put away the broken eggs. There are different grades of this routine work and decision making, but mainly you can describe a routine work like a decision making table of a final size. Yeah? If you did some programming, you know if-else decision making. So it's like, if egg broken, then throw away. It's like this. Or compute how much money do you get, how much change you need to give back. That's it. So this routine work is getting automated right now. And in developed countries, it's more automated. In less developed countries, it's less automated by computers. So the computer revolution, like steam engines eliminated robotic work, not exactly steam engines. After steam engines, we had different types of engines, but I'm saying like this, engines brought that. The computers, so the engines brought free energy to us. The price of a muscle work decreased dramatically. What computers did, the computers decreased the price of the decision making with a simple decision making and computation, like computing how much something costs. This where the computers took over all this, and now all the job which humans are doing, routine work, gets automated by the computers. Okay, now we're at the next stage, which is so-called skilled work. And we have a pizzeria, Giovanni's Pizza, and there is a Giovanni who is a very good chef. He's doing brilliant pizza, which is, I think, the best in the Europe. And for that, he has unique capabilities. It's his taste. So basically, he knows how much tomatoes, which tomatoes to take. He tastes everything. I don't know. He has some unique skill, and this is a skilled work. So as of today, robots are not able to replace this kind of work, because it requires extraordinary skills and very advanced senses, like visual senses, test senses, and that's where computers of today have huge difficulties. So you need also speak, you need to communicate with customers, you need to understand customers, you need to go feedback, you need to adjust your recipes. This is not very easy. For instance, car driving is also a problem like this. If you take autonomous driving problem, there is an autonomous subway in Paris since many years. I know, there is also autonomous subway in Germany. So this autonomous subway is like an elevator. So it has a kind of decision making, but this decision making, it's very limited. So you do not need advanced decision making. The situations you see that there is no prediction necessary. So you do not need to predict anything. You do not need, you can just compute. Okay? What AI is bringing in the game is a capability of learning and predicting stuff. Okay? And I will return to that in a moment, but first I want to tell you about the next level, which is creative work. So we had robotic work, we had routine work, we had skill work, and now we have a creative work. What is a creative work? It's something that, if you're doing something that has not been done before. So if you're doing really something new, like SpaceX guys, they are developing Starship. So no one did it before, and we don't know whether they will succeed or they will fail, but they are doing that. If you take a look, let's say, as Mercedes EQS, the new one, this is brilliant design, this brilliant piece of technology. So it looks great, it feels great. So this is something people have created with the creative work. So this is the highest stage, inventing new things. So where are we now? So we've eliminated most of the robotic work. We are automating routine work, and we start automating the skilled work already, like with autonomous driving. We have cars which are able to recognize complex situations and act in these complex situations. It's not just a simple decision making with a known table, but when you're driving, it's more complex than that. If you're driving, something may happen. Someone could jump on the street. Something could fall from the trees. Yeah, we had, for instance, in Siemens, we had an autonomous driving car experiments running on, and the cars were braking because in the autumn leaves were falling from the trees, yeah, and they were like, I don't know what's happening. Yeah, we had to teach them to recognize also and predict the situation that a leaf can fall from the street. There is a very known book from A.J. Agrawal, which is called Prediction Machines. It's about economics of AI. So what is he saying basically is that if you look from the technology point of view, and mostly I was talking to you from the technology point of view, the things are pretty interesting and complex, but you can also take a very simplified economic point of view to the same thing and say, okay, what was happening during the Industrial Revolution? So we learned to produce a lot of power, a lot of energy out of, I don't know, nothing, out of the fossil energy, and that was the reason, and what was that was the cause, and the effect was that the price of the work, price of the energy fall dramatically. So in the past we had to produce it with our muscles, and now we can produce it with a steam engine. So if you take a supply and demand curve, when supply is getting larger, so it means that we are able to produce more energy, then the price is dropping, and the price of the muscle work dropped dramatically. That caused, for instance, a lot of workers a lot of farmers to migrate. It caused a lot of changes and adaptations in our society, because the people which were doing this muscle work were not required anymore. The world population of horses reduced by hundreds, so 100 times. So it means that we did not required horses anymore. We did not require bulls anymore, because the price of the muscle work dropped. What happened with the computation is the price of the simple decision making dropped very much. The people who was able to do the simple decision making, like soldier-like work, which had a very limited training and very limited decision table in their heads, and were able to do a routine work, were not required anymore, and these people need to be retrained because their price dropped a lot. Yeah, and we still have a lot of people in the world which are doing routine work, very cheap. That's, for instance, that's the reason why not everything is automated is not because we cannot automate that. The reason is because there is a lot of cheap routine labor which is doing that, and it's not worth of automation. But the routine work becomes, and computation becomes cheaper and cheaper. We are able to automate more and more stuff, and that's the reason why these routine jobs are falling apart all over the world. Yeah, and but the other capabilities and are required. For instance, the people, the engineers who would be able to automate, who would be able to program the computer, are required. These are, for instance, computers, electrical engineers, machine builders, people like that are in high demand right now, and the people who are doing routine work are in very low demand. And what is going to happen with artificial intelligence, it's a very same thing, but in a different area. So it's in prediction. So the prediction will become cheap. And what would be required is the intellectual work, which will basically map existing tasks to the prediction tasks. So this is a very unique, let's say it's a pretty broad skill set which is required from us in gathering data, training, processing this data, training machines, or translating existing businesses and existing job in prediction businesses. To explain you what do I mean in translation, I give you a very small example. Like, as Jeff Bezos started a business of selling books with Amazon, he could simply take an existing business of selling books, which was a classical bookstore with classical bookshelves and classical person who was selling books or advising you about the books. He could just automate this thing with a computer, with a single computer. But he took different approach. He basically decided to rethink the whole process, the whole business. And rethinking the whole business led to what we have now as Amazon. And it means that in the future, we need to think about restructuring our businesses, changing our businesses in the direction of from the automated routine work or even skilled work. We need to try to map them to the AI kind of prediction work. AI is nothing else than the AI as of today is nothing else like as a model. This is a neural network which gets some inputs and generates an outputs based on the huge amount of data which it had processed during a learning procedure. So there is a learning procedure where we feed AI with an experience, and based on this experience, it is able to generate decisions. So there is not a decision table, simple decision table anymore, but there is a huge amount of data, and this data is arriving constantly. For instance, if we take this Giovanni example, Giovanni tastes his pizza, and we can basically teach our special artificial intelligence to taste stuff and to decide and predict whether this kind of tomatoes will be tasty enough for the customers. Then we can replace part of the Giovanni's business with artificial intelligence, and that's what will happen in next 30 to 50 years, in my opinion. So we will continue evicting robotic work, and robotic work will eliminate it completely. We will almost success in the replacing routine work, and we will start replacing skilled work. And this is already happening, the replacing skilled work. Replacing creative work, we are not there. And that's why I want to encourage you as individuals to go in that direction, in the direction of a creative work. And the creative work is not necessarily art. It could be understanding, deep understanding of the business, of your own business or someone's business, and trying to decompose it, trying to change it, trying to map it to the new technologies. And that's why you need first to understand the capabilities of new technologies, and you need to understand the business. And I believe that a lot of jobs will emerge in coming years in the cross-section of domains. It would be like cross-section of artificial intelligence or machine learning with art, maybe, I don't know. So there will be, and try to learn different domains in order to be able to take an action there. Yeah, and become a translator from the classical business into the prediction tasks, because that's where the shift will take place. What I wanted to do at the end of my talk is to tell you about the impact on the society and on the state. So what is the role of the state in the whole thing? Yeah, there are states like China, which are pumping very successfully a lot of money in the research, but I see it more as a corporation, because this same thing is done by the huge US American corporations like Google, Amazon, you name it. So the Microsoft, they are also pumping a lot of money in the research. So in this case, you can see Chinese government as a kind of corporation. This change will take place, and some countries will decide to embrace this change, but other countries will decide to block this change to protect their own population, because no one wants to have jobless people out of the street, because jobless people are the worst voters you can have. Yeah? That's why I think a lot of countries will resist this change by introducing regulations, and that's what we see already in the European Union. The governments are resisting this kind of changes on the one hand, and on the other hand, the big corporations which are doing classical businesses, they have fear of change. They do their own business and they block also this kind of changes. For instance, my favorite example was like the autonomous driving and the electrical cars. Now we're strictly regulated, almost banned in the Germany and in general also in European Union. Yeah, as long as the first German car producers started producing electrical cars. And suddenly it was a good thing. Yeah, suddenly the German government and European government said, wow, electrical cars are very good. Because they had a fear of a Tesla entering the market, they blocked the market and re-regulated the market. Now the autonomous driving is not allowed, but there are certain regulations which have been released in order to allow, because there were technological advances also in German car producers, and now German car producers can do a semi-autonomous driving, and the semi-autonomous driving is okay. So it means that we are basically removing regulation by regulation because our classical auto industry is lobbying that. Yeah? This is not, I don't know whether it's a good thing, but if we look at the smaller countries like Georgia, which don't have their classical industries, people are jobless anyway. I am thinking, why do we need any kind of regulations? And I think we need to embrace that. In these small countries, we need to use a chance and embrace that. We even need to remove or release regulations which will allow research in these areas, and which will attract companies doing research in these areas by completely removing any regulations and saying robots are okay, AI is okay, do whatever you want, drive whatever you want on our streets, gather whatever data you want. So this is my personal opinion. Yeah, since we don't have classical industries we need to protect. We don't have jobs of the people in the highly industrialized work. So who cares? Good. So That's it. To summarize, I think the impact for the individual would be that we need to embrace that and be prepared. Be prepared for interdisciplinary learning, interdomain learning. We need to learn to map our business to the new domain of AI and the prediction. That's what we need to learn to rethink our businesses on the individual level, and on the state level we need to embrace it by removing regulations. Okay, that's it. So I'm now open for questions.
Thank you. It was very interesting. Maybe for some people even feel like kind of afraiding because some people are afraid of new technologies. So sorry, I'll stand. I want to ask about this kind of progress. So we have heard and we have listened to the people that there is some kind of implants where the people are implanting in their bodies some kind of, for example, memory sticks or kind of the credit cards, and they are paying by their hands in the shops. And this kind of progress we have heard, it's already many years this kind of progress is going on, and it's going on and increasing more and more. But the major part of our society is afraid of this kind of technology and progress. So I think it's a progress, not a danger, but many people don't think like that. So what is your opinion about this? So how do you think? I'm pretty sure that for you it's also progress, but maybe you have some pros and cons.
Okay, yeah. We humans are ancestors of apes, and basically we're monkeys with slightly larger brains. That's it. And monkeys are very fearful creatures. They are afraid of everything, and we humans are afraid, and that's natural. And we were afraid all the time. Yeah. If you look back, and I was very interested in the history, and if you look back and read old Egyptian stuff, so you will see how fearful were people at that time by the changes. By the changes. Yeah. Any change. Not all the changes are accepted by the society at the very beginning, yeah? And there are a huge mass of the skeptical people, but there are a lot of people who are brave, and they embrace that, and they accept that. And whenever others see that the people who accepted that are not dying, are not starving, they are successful, they are having success, another mechanism triggers in our head. So we are very jealous monkeys, yeah? And we want also to be successful, and we also want to be part of the success which others are having. And whenever we see that our neighbor, which has an implant, I'm like just saying, is 5 times as efficient as we are, we also would want to have an implant. And that happened in the past during the industrialization period. So a lot of people at that time were farmers, and the farmers were staying in their villages, living their life, and some brave people were moving to the city, and the people who were moving to the city were not starving, they had the work and they had success, and the others who stayed back in the village, they thought, oh, we also need to move there. And I think brave people like you are, I hope, will embrace the new stuff and show others that it's a recipe of a success. There are also societies, the entire societies, which fail to embrace a progress. And unfortunately, these kind of societies, they dissolve and they die, and there are entire civilizations which basically failed to adapt, and they disappeared completely. that's also very sad, but that may happen to some countries, to some parts of the world, which will not be able to embrace a change and will disappear completely. That's also the way. Yeah. Okay, these are basically two scenarios if I answered your question. What does not work is the, let's say, enforced digitalization. I think the people have this resistance because they are forced to become technological, digital. I don't know, sometimes if a government would try to put implants on the people, that would end bad, I think, yeah? Okay.
Thanks. Thank you for this.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for this very insightful conversation and lecture you presented. My question, I have actually two questions. One is about, I agree with you with all the concepts you mentioned actually in the deregulation and letting new developments to enter the country and help build the ecosystem and therefore maintain the good economy in the future. But there are two points I want to make. What is your opinion about how can we embrace all these technological developments to tackle fear from wider public in general, into the educational system? What would be your opinion? How do we change something into the educational system? And this is one question. The second question is, what do you think about certification of AI? When AI is used into the private sector, especially when it comes to the ethics of AI and ethical usage and responsible AI, but also anti-discrimination prevention. For example, recently Georgia's central bank enacted a law regulating AI usage into the banking sector. But that statute doesn't set any control, any monitoring on it from the banking side. So banks can do whatever they want. They can actually utilize any type of AI into their systems without being accountable to anyone else, and especially to customers. So what do you think about certification of AI, licensing the AI, and just to in terms of prevention of this kind of abuse of AI algorithms into private sector? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the ethics of AI is a very vast topic, yeah, and in fact there are different fractions. The one fraction says that AI must have certain ethics, and we as humans are obliged basically to transfer our ethics, which we have, and enforce this kind of ethics by implementing certain regulations into the AI. So it means that there are some governments which decide that the AI must have very similar ethics as humans have, yeah? And then we need to put these ethics into some kind of rules and imply them onto the machines. It's an old idea. This idea, basically, first I heard about this idea was in Isaac Asimov's I, Robot. So there are some codex, some rules which are imprinted into the machines. Okay, we can go that way. But on the other hand, we humans are very complex and very messy creatures, yeah? And I think that I don't think that we have a baseline of ethics, yeah? I think our ethics are very dependent from the group we belong to the nationality we belong to the, I don't know, education we have, or to a situation, because to be honest, we even have different ethics in different situations. Sometimes we are stressed. For instance, during a car accident, I have no idea which ethics I'm going to follow during an accident. Yeah, of course I know that kid's life is more valuable, let's say, than my life. But if I'm in a panic and if there is a car accident going on, and in seconds I need to get a right decision, I may basically do a wrong decision. So my ethics failed in this case. Why do we think that we are able to agree on some ethics? Why do we think that we are able to enforce these ethics onto the machines? And why do we think that these ethics will improve this existing situation, which is right now? So that's why I'm thinking that the market, the free market, is going to kind of redefine or recreate the machine ethics very slowly. So it means that there will be a machine having certain ethical standards implemented in it, and as I as a human which agrees with these ethical standards will buy that machine, and the others will buy other machines. So I think that it will emerge, the ethics, machine ethics will emerge, and I think that we are incapable of controlling or implying some rules on these developments. Yeah, the neural network is such a messy thing, so that I don't know. You can think of a regulation, but you cannot implement it sometimes. Yeah. Even the regulations about the data privacy, which are in place in Europe, are very hard to enforce. Yeah, they are in place, but you cannot guarantee that some neural network does not remember some fact about you. Yeah, if you are presenting it a lot of data. That is about the regulations and enforcing ethics. This is my personal view. Yeah, so to be sure that that the machines follow our ethics, I think the Elon Musk's way is the right way. It means that to merge with the machines and basically let them become us and let us become them. And in this case, we will basically develop a new ethics, which will be a cyborg ethics, machine-human ethics in the long run. Yeah? This is the answer to the ethics question. Now to the how do we motivate people to embrace a change? I think, again, a competition is a good way to motivate people to embrace a change. So it means that if a guy with an implant will have some advantage, this will motivate others to implant themselves too. Yeah. I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
Hello. It was very loud. Thank you for your presentation. It was amazing. What I want to ask is about artificial intelligence. Well, first of all, as you said, you mentioned Elon Musk's opinion about it. Well, if we merge ourselves with technologies, with robotics, how do you see the emotional intelligence of the people evolve? I mean, people tend to sit in their comfort zone, and what if we face lack of creativity, lack of intelligence, emotional intelligence in future? And also I want to ask about the developing countries like us, like in Georgia. Like we tend to get innovations like 5 years or 10 years later when it is developed and after it is developed. And also people in developing countries are very skeptical about innovations. I mean, for example, take a vaccine. Most of the people say that they inject chips in us, and that's bad. And how do you see that we can merge technologies with these people? I mean, I don't know how to say it, but I mean, you get it.
Yeah. Okay. There were two questions. The one was the One was the skepticism about the people, which is a recurring question. I think one of the reasons why people were skeptic about vaccine was because vaccines were they were provided by the state and were free of charge. Yeah, this is one of the reasons I think people were skeptical. It's like Tom Sawyer phenomenon. Yeah, he was painting the fence, and as he let others pay for painting the fence, everyone wanted to paint the fence. Yeah, let people pay for their vaccine, and they will kill each other to get the vaccine. Yeah, that's my personal opinion about that. Maybe it's not a mainstream opinion. Yeah, and let people pay for anything. Don't give them for free, and they will stop being critical. Give an advantage to the one. So let's say that bars and restaurants accept only people who are vaccinated, and let vaccine be expensive, and everyone will try to vaccinate. Yeah, what you can do as a state, maybe give a voucher for the vaccinations for the poor ones, and they will stop being skeptical. It's very easy to be skeptical at something which is thrown on you. You say, oh, I don't want to. Yeah, it's a bad shit. And if no one forces you, then you want to have it. This is about skepticism. And another question was about the emotional stuff. Yeah. This is also a philosophical question, and there are believers in the fact that humans are something very special. And I also think that we humans are something very special, but the fact that we are very special is not due to that we have some very, very tricky hack in our brain. In fact, all the processes which are going on in our brain are biochemical processes, yeah? And you can understand pretty well all these biochemical processes, but they are complex, not in terms that we are not able to understand how they work. They are complex because there are a lot of huge number of variables are involved there. And I think that the artificial intelligences which we will develop maybe in 30 or 50 years, and we connect with them, will be powerful enough to develop the same way of emotional intelligence, same way of creativity, and even more. And we will even be able to transfer our creativity to them and let them transfer their creativity to us. So I think that we are not there, but at some point we will have machines which will be able to love, machines which will be able to cry or to develop all the emotions which we have right now. Yeah.
So that was all the questions for the time. So
Thank you. Thank you very much.